This book was really popular. I think it was last year, and that's when I bought it, and I really wanted to read it, but I still haven't got around to it. But I did start reading this today, and I am really enjoying it so far. So let me tell you what it's about. This is the story of Sam and Sadie. It's not a romance, but it is about love. When Sam catches sight of Sadie at a crowded train station one winter morning, he is catapulted back to the brief time they spent playing together as children. Their unique spark is instantly reignited. What comes next is a story of friendship and rivalry, fame and creativity, betrayal and tragedy. Perfect worlds and imperfect ones, and ultimately our need to connect, to be loved, and to love. So this book was really popular last year, and everyone seemed to just love it so much. I am not really a romance reader, but it does say that this isn't a romance, it's just about love. And yeah, so far I've been really enjoying it. I really like the writing and how slowly it's building everything up. I've been reading a lot of fast-paced horror recently, and I felt like I needed a change, and this couldn't be any more different, so I'm really enjoying it so far. And I really like the main characters, Sam and Sadie, and the friendship at the moment. We are at the very beginning of their friendship, and it's just very adorable. This book is also about video games, which is why I was initially drawn to it. So I'm really enjoying that aspect of the book as well. Sorry, I'm a bit out of breath. As I said, I'm 39 weeks pregnant, and it's starting to show. So, sorry if I'm a bit out of breath during this video. But yeah, that is the first book, and as you can see, I've dog-eared it. Don't tell anyone. I think I'm on chapter 3, so wild child in Prohibition America to the blitz and glitz of wartime London, from the rugged shores of New Zealand to a lonely ice shelf in Antarctica, Marion Graves is driven by a need for freedom and danger. Determined to live an independent life, she resists the pull of her childhood sweetheart. But it is an obsession with flight that consumes her most. On the verge of fulfilling her greatest ambition, to circumnavigate the globe from pole to pole, Marion crash lands in a perilous wilderness of ice. Over half a century later, troubled film star Hadley Baxter is drawn inexorably to play the enigmatic pilot on screen. It is a role that will lead her to an unexpected discovery, throwing a fresh and spellbinding light on the story of the unknowable Marion Graves. So this book just sounded really interesting. I love books about powerful women, and the character in this and her career as a pilot just pulled me in, and yeah, I think this is going to be quite good. I haven't seen too many talk about this one, but I think there was a few people when it first came out that said it was really good, and it has won some awards. So it's won the Women's Prize for Fiction 2022, or it was shortlisted, and it also was shortlisted for the 2021 Booker Prize. Okay, so it didn't come out last year, but I think that's when I first heard about it. So that is the other book. And just to let you know, I do have a mix of different genres here, a mix kind of between like literary fiction, thrillers, mysteries, and I think there's a horror book in there as well, so there's a little bit of everything. But yeah, I don't really read romance, so you won't find any romance in this list. I just said you won't find any romance in this list, but I'm not sure if this is a romance or not. But this is Beautiful World, Where Are You? By Sally Rooney. Sally Rooney, who was the author of the really popular book Normal People, which I actually did not like. But I saw this in the charity shop, and I thought, well, I shouldn't judge an author based on just one book, so maybe I should give her another chance. And if I don't like this one, then I just know her books are not for me, but there's only one way to find out. So I'll read the synopsis to you. Alice, a novelist, meets Felix, who works in a warehouse, and asks him if he'd like to travel to Rome with her. In Dublin, her best friend Eileen is getting over a breakup and slips back into flirting with Simon, a man and she has known since childhood. Alex, Felix, Eileen, and Simon are still young, but life is catching up with them. They desire each other, they delude each other, they worry about sex and friendship, and the times they live in. Will they find a way to believe in a beautiful world? So I really didn't know anything about this book, but it does seem not similar to Normal People, but it does seem like it's another book about young people trying to navigate relationships, which is what Normal People was about. But this does seem like they're a little bit older in this book. I think what I struggled with reading Normal People was the immaturity of the two main characters and how they handled their relationships. It was very aggravating to read, and I just didn't like them as characters, and since it was such a character-driven story and the two main characters in that were the whole focus of the book, it just made it not really an enjoyable read for me. But we'll have to see how this one goes. I do think Sally Rooney is a very talented writer, and I did really like her prose in Normal People, so I am going into this book quite positively. I'll have to do a reading recap, reading wrap up once I've read these books and tell you what I thought of them. So the next book is The Beach Party by Nikki Smith, and it was a while that I got this book, another charity shop find. And I was really drawn to this bold and bright cover with this fire. It just was really pretty, and I think we all judge books by the cover. And just the title as well, I think, is going to make it the perfect thriller for summer. But let's find out what it's about. 1989. The tunes are loud and the clothes are louder when a group of friends arrives in Mallorca for a post-graduation holiday of decadence and debauchery at a luxury villa. A beach party marks the height of their fun until it isn't fun any longer, because amid the wild partying, sand flying from dancing feet, and revelers leaping from yachts, an accident happens. Suddenly the night of a lifetime is a living nightmare. Now, the truth about that summer has been collectively buried, but someone knows what happened that night. breeziness to them, and the way she writes them is, you could never guess what is going to happen, because she just takes the story in a completely unexpected direction. I read another book of hers last year and I didn't get on with it as well, but it didn't put me off her books at all, because it was still a very different story, and I just think she is very, very clever at what she does. So I'm excited to read this one. So let's find out what it's about. For generations they have died young, and now 15-year-old Iris and her father are the last of the Villarca line. Confined to their lonely mansion on Dartmoor, they suffer their disease in isolation. But Iris breaks her promise to hide from the world and dares to fall in love. It is only then that they understand the true horror of the Villarca curse, the curse of the bone-white woman who visits in the night, leaving death in her wake. Maybe I should save this for October because it seems to have more Halloweeny vibes rather than summery vibes. As I said earlier, I have been reading a lot of horror recently on my Kindle and really enjoying it, but I am starting to get burnt out from horror, so it will probably be a while before I actually get round to this one. But yeah, maybe I should save this for October. I think that could be quite good. Next we have The Appeal by Janice Hallett. I also got this from the charity shop, and I think this was a pretty new release at the time when I got it. I think there might even be a sequel to this book now. All I know about this is that it's a mixed media book, which means there are different forms of media in the book, and you have to work out the mystery based on that. So there are like emails. I think the book is mainly made up of emails, so that is very different to anything that I have read before. So let's see what it's about. There is a mystery to solve in the small town of Lockwood. It starts with the arrival of two secretive newcomers and ends with a tragic death. Roderick Tanner, QC, has assigned law students, Charlotte and Femi, to the case. Someone has already been sent to prison for murder, but he suspects that they are innocent, and that far darker secrets have yet to be revealed. Throughout the amateur dramatics, society's disastrous staging of All My Sons and the shady charity appeal for a little girl's medical treatment, the murderer hid in plain sight. Will Charlotte and Femi solve the case? Will you? So yeah, this is a book which actually wants you to work out the mystery and act as a detective, which just sounds really fun and cool. And it's not something when reading it so you can suss out all the clues, but I like to think I'm quite a good detective. I watch a lot of murder and detective shows and read a lot of thrillers and mysteries, so I'm definitely up for the challenge. The next book is Run Time by Catherine Ryan Howard. I believe this is a thriller book. I think I bought this because it was recommended by a booktuber that I like to watch, who is called Gabby Reads on YouTube. And it just sounded really interesting when she was talking about it, so I decided to pick it up for myself. A Final Draft, a psychological horror being filmed at a house deep in the forest, miles from anywhere in the wintry wilds of West Cork. Former soap star Adele Rafferty has stepped in to replace the original actress at the very last minute. She can't help but hope that this opportunity will be her big break, and she knows she was lucky to get it after what happened the last time she was on set. Something isn't quite right about Final Draft. When the strange goings on in the script start to happen on set too, Adele begins to fear that the real horror lies off the page. So, I'm really fascinated by this idea of kind of a set of actors, particularly filming like a horror movie with this actual real horror going on behind the scenes. There are a few books that have come out recently that also have this theme, and yeah, it just really fascinates me. The other book that I can think of that is also about a television series that kind of turns into horror, or has like horror elements, is, I think it's called Mr. Magic, and I have that on my Kindle and I want to get to that at some point too. But yeah, I like the idea of a book being set on a film set and things going wrong. It just sounds really interesting and the perfect place for a horror thriller type book. Okay, I have one more book to show you, and that is Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. This book is quite popular. A lot of people have really enjoyed it, and I've been wanting to read it for a while. So let me tell you what it's about. On a summer's day in 1596, a young girl in Stratford-upon-Avon takes to her bed with a sudden fever. Her twin brother Hamnet searches everywhere for help. Why is nobody at home? Their mother, Agnes, is over a mile away, in the garden where she grows medicinal herbs. Their father is working in London. Neither parent knows that Hamnet will not survive the week. given to one of the most celebrated plays ever written. So, if the synopsis didn't give it away already, this is about Shakespeare's son, and it's quite interesting because you never hear about Shakespeare having children, and you really don't know a lot about his family life. So this reimagining by Maggie O'Farrell is just a really clever idea, and I think a really lovely way to consider these characters or people in our history that are kind of living in the shadows of these famous people that we do know a lot about, like Shakespeare. And it kind of makes you think about Shakespeare more as a normal person and wonder how his family were affected by his fame. So yeah, it sounds like a very interesting and potentially very sad story. I'd love to hear if you have read this and what your thoughts were. I believe this is more like a historical literary fiction book, which I have to be in the mood for, so that's why I haven't gotten around to it yet. But yeah, I think this is a potential 5-star read, so I should try to get to it at some